Great. So now we're going to move on to what we would like to call the emotional indulger pattern. And I'm really just going to base it around the explanation of this pattern around a client that I've worked with for a really long time. And the emotional indulger pattern really is about a person that's inclined to run their business based on emotion rather than logic or any kind of strategic thinking, or they do have an element of logic and strategic thinking, but depending on the day or the hour or what mood they're in, the emotion can really overrun and sabotage any logical or strategic thinking, no matter how well thought out a certain procedure or process or decision is. So the client that I'm thinking of was a really successful business owner, had really built her business in a lot of ways, but it really depended on the day whether or not her team was going to see somebody that was run by emotion or it was somebody that was going to run by logic. And it really undermined a lot of her business, and it really undermined the efficiency of the staff as well. In terms of the business and the decision-making capacity in the business, what it meant was that any strategic or logical thinking, for example, a SWOT analysis, or going with the business plan, or going by any decisions that have been previously made, if somebody with the emotional indulger pattern is being run by emotions on that particular day, then any previous logical thinking goes out the window. It's kind of like that logical thinking hadn't even been, that decision hadn't even been made, the discussion hadn't even been had with the staff. If there was, anger, there was a lot of anger in my client, there was a lot of self-doubt and uncertainty. If the littlest tinge of self-doubt or uncertainty touched my client, they would run off with their emotion, and they would not stick by anything that they'd done. So on the flip side, if she was woke up in the morning and felt a particular inclination towards a lot of excitement in particular, or a lot of happiness, or even if she felt an abundance of gratitude, it would really cloud her decision-making process as well. So there was no, in those moments of joy and happiness and gratitude, there was no attention to detail. It was more so being run along the clouds of the emotion for that day, which were joy and excitement and gratitude. And the detail just wasn't important at that point in time. It was the feeling of feeling good. Do you guys have any stories you'd like to add on to your clients?
I've got a real good story, I reckon, that just will really mirror what you've just talked about. But one of the things I wanted to say when you're explaining this client of yours is you imagine the staff, right? You imagine her staff. Now, you know because you work with her, but as soon as you're telling me that, I'm thinking her staff, the poor things, because there's no consistency. Who shows up on the day is based on their emotional disposition.
Yes.
Yeah. So just even in what Gab's talking about, you can see that she I take it's a she, is it, from what you were saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That she is, the staff themselves are always going to be like this because they don't know what shows up. Now, if a person keeps coming into the business as the leader and they're all over the place and they run the business from the emotions, then staff won't trust them. That's the first thing. So it's going to impact the culture. And secondly, which is where I'm going to go with my story, in fact, I'll go into the story because it'll highlight it. So I have a client who's exactly like the client that you've just talked about. Now, this particular person, when they first came to me, had X amount of capital. So I actually sent them to one of my mentors to get very astute business planning done. And my mentor, and it's probably important to say this, is hugely analytical and strategic. Highly trained in business, bought and sold over 250 businesses. And so business is nothing more than a strategic calculation. Everything business is nothing more than that. analyzing, and strategy. Nothing else. In this particular gentleman, there's no emotion when it comes to business. So he clearly crafts this business plan, Gab and Georgina, to take into account this particular person's capital. So we know that she can survive. We're analysing the marketplace. It becomes a very tight and very safe business plan. Exactly like what you've just said, Gab. Even though this business plan had been developed through great minds, great strategic and analytical thinking, 3 days after she received the plan, she wakes up and she's deeply afraid. And so it's like the plan hadn't been written. It's like, well, I can't do this. It's too scary. And there are many instances of that where this particular person, based on her emotional stance for that day, would just forget what she was supposed to do based on the business plan. And I think this is really important because, we call it the emotional indulger pattern for a reason. I've been in business for many years, and personally, there have been times when I've experienced frightening times or challenging times. And of course, we all feel it in those periods. Our self-doubt, all these uncomfortable aspects, or our anger or our fears coming up in the challenge of business. Now, if we're not able to see that these are emotions being driven by parts of us with stories and past experiences, we're going to be controlled by those parts. So a key practice is not to be controlled by emotions when we have brought strategic and analytical thinking to the choice-making mechanism. My last thing to say on this before I hand over to Georgina is, in my experience, most of the clients that I've worked with, and it may be different for both of you, but most of the clients that I've worked with this emotional indulger pattern have an addiction to drama. There's an unconscious addiction to drama that just keeps putting. They love. They might say they hate it, but they love. They're just so habituated to feeling these intense emotions.
It makes them feel alive, Perry. It makes them feel alive.
Yeah, and yes, strategy is boring. You're probably right, Georgina, because strategy is boring. In some ways it's exciting, but it's boring. It's just methodical.
Yeah, this whole thing about feeling everything. It's the opposite of the part of us that gets gets paralyzed by analysis. So it's the opposite of paralysis by analysis. It actually becomes paralysis by overwhelm. So there's so much input coming in via the feeling nature of the client that, and as Gabrielle said, even if it's positive feelings, there's so much energy moving through the system that the logic and the practical solutions that may have been thought out, they're just lost in all of this emotion. So one of the key things for people with this pattern is to really recognize that there is a difference between emotions and a gut feeling. For example, I worked with a client who tried to tell me that, all these emotions and these parts of them that they were emotionally indulging was just part of their intuition. And it's like, no, your intuition comes from a place of real calmness and a real balance between what the intellect has brought in and how that feels within the system. It's not the feelings coming in and directing the decisions, which is what we're talking about here with the emotional indulger. So it's difficult for some people who are caught up in this pattern to recognize that emotions aren't going to be the answer, because as we've stated, emotions really have no place in the business world. It's a doing, practical, logical, strategic process that we're involved in, and feelings really can just cloud our decision making when it comes to working in the business environment and making sure that things are handled properly.
Yeah, and important to say, and just in supporting what Georgina said, that some of us, we know there's what we call thinking types and feeling types. So someone that's an emotional indulger will tend to be moving towards the feeling type. I have a strong feeling aspect, in fact, all three of us do. But when it comes to business, as an example, we can have gut feelings, we can have spontaneous sort of insights and ideas about what we could do, or a good idea or a strategy. But just thinking about how you and I might have operated in the past, Georgina, where I might have a good gut feeling about something, or an excited idea about something, and then I would run it past Georgina, who will tend to bring an analytical aspect to it, to question it, see what's right with it, or what could go wrong with it, etc., etc., etc. So again, we're not saying don't make feeling-based decisions. We're probably saying, look, you can make feeling-based decisions if you've checked in with the analytical and strategical parts of your personality, your consciousness. And I also have to say, that I think that, we have to, as business people, one of our core roles is to develop our analytical and strategic parts of our personality. That's the general. In the war, the general develops the strategy because they're leading the army. Anything before we... Yep, Georgina, you want to say something before we sign up?
I was just going to finish off by saying it's not that what we want to differentiate here is the difference between an emotion and intuition. So an emotion is going to take you wherever that particular type of emotion is going to, whether it's anger or sadness or stress, whatever it is. Intuition is allowing the emotion to be able to sort of part the waters of emotion, be able to allow that analytical side to then feel it in the gut, as opposed to feel the emotion of the situation.
Yeah. The interesting, I'm smiling as we talk about it, because coming back to what Gab was saying before about the client she was thinking about when she first started off explaining about this pattern, you're really positive. She wakes up and she's really positive. So all of a sudden, if you're really positive, your ideas seem really good. Okay. The next day she wakes up and she's feeling really bad and she's got lots of self-doubt, and all of a sudden the ideas feel like, well, they're not going to work. Where both of those emotional dispositions could just be completely wrong, and the only part that really kind of knows and is the analytical part that would have done SWOT analysis and risk analysis, etc., 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 which increases the chance of success. But you can see, just take those positive emotional dispositions and the stories they tell about the decisions we're making. Thanks, everybody. That is the Emotional Indulger pattern.